Okay, let's dive into this explainer. It really feels like we're living in an era where the whole map is filled in, right? We've got satellites constantly snapping photos, and pretty much everything is heavily documented. But here's the thing. Despite all that mind-blowing tech and exploration, our planet is still hiding some seriously puzzling secrets. Today we're looking at 10 of Earth's most mysterious places. We're talking bizarre natural phenomena, unexplained events, and ancient puzzles that have literally stumped researchers for decades. We're going to break down the science, the legends, and the wild gray area right in between.
It really begs the question, in the age of satellites, what exactly remains hidden? It's honestly fascinating. We've got millions of people wandering the globe, planes flying overhead 24/7, and yet certain spots just continue to completely baffle both historians and scientists alike. I mean, our brains are just hardwired to love a good puzzle, aren't they? Why do these places grab our attention so fiercely? Well, as you're going to see, sometimes the cold, hard reality is actually way stranger than the fiction we make up.
Which brings us to Section 1, Modern Myths and Isolation.
Take Area 51, for example. It's easily one of the most infamous spots in the US. Now, for decades, pop culture has painted this place as the ultimate extraterrestrial hub. Wild stories of UFOs, alien autopsies, the whole shebang. But the documented reality, it's actually a lot more grounded. It was set up during the Cold War specifically to test highly classified military aircraft. And honestly, while there is absolutely zero publicly verified evidence of alien tech out there in the desert, that intense, super strict secrecy was totally necessary for the military base. But naturally, that secrecy acts like a magnet for conspiracy theories. And they are still going strong today. When we can't see what's happening behind closed doors, our imaginations just run completely wild. We see that exact same dynamic playing out in the North Atlantic with the Bermuda Triangle. Right there between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, this stretch of water is legendary for stories of ships and planes just vanishing into thin air. Pop culture loves to point to a supernatural vortex swallowing things up. But scientists? They are quick to point out there's no mystical mystery at play here at all. Actually, it's a really dangerous combo of perfectly earthly factors. We're talking severe weather, intensely strong ocean currents, simple navigation errors, and a massive amount of heavy traffic moving through there daily. Put all those together, and they explain the vast majority of these tragedies. But hey, even with those rock-solid logical explanations, the Bermuda Triangle is still one of our most enduring modern legends. Because, let's face it, a supernatural vortex is just a much cooler story for our brains than a chaotic mix of environmental variables. Now, what's really interesting about this next one is how it frames a totally different kind of mystery. We're discussing North Sentinel Island in India. It's home to the Sentinelese people. They're one of the very last remaining uncontacted tribes on the entire planet. No aliens, no vortexes here. The real mystery is simply the awe-inspiring fact that a fully functioning human society has lived almost entirely separated from the modern world for generations. It completely flips our assumption that globalization has touched every single corner of the globe. The really crucial point here is exactly how this incredible isolation is maintained. The Indian government actually stepped in and officially declared the island a protected zone, strictly prohibiting any outside contact whatsoever. Because of this protective bubble, researchers literally know very little about the tribe itself. And you know what? That is highly intentional. Keeping that absolute isolation enforced is considered absolutely essential to make sure the tribe stays physically safe and to preserve their incredibly unique culture from modern interference. All right, moving right along to Section 2, Ancient Engineering and Enigmas. Let's jump over to Easter Island. It presents one of the most visually striking enigmas anywhere in the world. It is located thousands of kilometers off the coast of mainland South America. Talk about remote. And of course, it's famous for those giant stone statues, the moai. But that profound isolation is exactly what sparks this massive, ongoing debate among researchers. Namely, how on earth were they moved? We're talking about ancient people successfully transporting and raising these truly enormous stone monuments, using nothing but the primitive tools of their time. It's wild! To this day, these massive statues are considered one of archaeology's absolute greatest engineering mysteries, forcing us to constantly rethink just how capable ancient societies really were. So, from towering statues out in the open air, let's plunge deep into the dark. Millions. Just think about that number. That single staggering word represents the sheer volume of human remains hidden deep beneath the bustling, romantic streets of Paris, France. There's just something deeply fascinating about the macabre, isn't there? We are instinctively drawn to spaces that confront our own mortality, especially when they're sitting silently right underneath one of the most vibrant cities on Earth. We're talking, of course, about the catacombs of Paris. Now, this vast underground network wasn't originally built as a tomb. They started out as limestone quarries, providing the actual stone to build the city above. A highly practical, industrial setup. But as Paris exploded in population, the above-ground cemeteries started overflowing, like to a critical public health crisis point. The solution? Relocate the remains of millions of Parisians down into those abandoned quarry tunnels. If you visit Paris today, only a tiny, strictly controlled section is open to the public. The vast, vast majority of this massive underground labyrinth is completely closed off, silent, and incredibly dangerous to explore, leaving so much of its history still shrouded in the shadows. Coming back above ground, let's swap those dark tunnels for the wide-open desert of southern Peru, home to the Nazca Lines. These are gigantic drawings. Animals, plants, huge geometric shapes, etched directly into the earth by the Nazca civilization over 1,000 years ago. Now, the crazy thing about these massive geoglyphs is that they are so unbelievably large, you can only actually see what they are from high up in the sky. Because of that insane scale, researchers have theorized they might have had ceremonial, astronomical, or maybe religious purposes. But honestly, despite decades of studies and super advanced surveys, their exact meaning, their true purpose, remains completely uncertain. It's like this massive message from the past that we simply haven't decoded yet. Let's transition into Section 3, Nature's Bizarre Extreme Phenomena. We're going to start in the freezing, stark landscape of Antarctica with a phenomenon that is literally called bloodfalls. Okay, picture this. A massive, pristine white glacier that looks like it is pouring bright red liquid right out of the ice. I know, it looks exactly like a scene from a horror movie. But the science behind it? It's beautifully simple. Step 1, you've got this iron-rich water secretly trapped deep, deep beneath the ice. Step 2, when that hidden water finally finds a way to breach the surface, the iron hits the outside air. Step 3, it reacts rapidly with the oxygen, and bam, it turns a deep, vibrant red. It creates this startling illusion of a bleeding glacier, but really, it's just a step-by-step chemical reaction. It just goes to show you science is very often cooler and definitely stranger than fiction.
Next up, we are traveling to Lake Natron in Tanzania. The key to understanding this incredibly strange lake is its extreme alkaline levels. The water here hits exceptionally high pH levels, which makes it incredibly difficult for most standard forms of life to even survive. But here is the bizarre twist. The harsh minerals in this lake can perfectly preserve the bodies of animals that happen to die there. It's essentially natural mummification. This has led to these dramatic, almost haunting photographs of calcified birds and bats that fueled all sorts of creepy local legends. And yet, despite these brutal, toxic-seeming conditions, nature always finds a way. Flamingos actually flock here and successfully breed around this very lake every single year. From toxic waters, we move to literal, endless fire. Welcome to the door to hell, located right in the Karakum Desert of Turkmenistan. Now, this is a massive natural gas crater, but it wasn't formed by a volcano or a meteor strike. No way. It was actually caused by a drilling accident that made the ground completely collapse. At the time, scientists figured, hey, we'll just light the escaping natural gas, it'll burn out in a few days, no problem. They were entirely wrong. Those flames have continued to burn continuously for decades, way, way longer than anyone ever predicted. It's created one of the most uniquely terrifying and mesmerizing sights on the planet. It's a pretty stark reminder of what happens when human error meets the raw, unpredictable power of subterranean chemistry. Our final extreme environment takes us over to the Sahara Desert to look at the Reshat structure. It is a gigantic circular formation that is so incredibly massive, you can literally see it from space. For a long time, people genuinely believed its perfectly circular shape meant it had to be an ancient meteorite impact crater. Some folks even swore it was the remains of the legendary lost city of Atlantis. But modern geologists have completely stepped in to clarify. Nope, it was formed entirely through natural geological processes. Basically, the Earth lifting and eroding over millions and millions of years. But you know, even when you know the hard science, seeing that perfect symmetry right in the middle of the endless desert, it still surprises you. It's a brilliant reminder that nature itself is very often the greatest architect. Which brings us to our final part, Section 4, the quest for answers. And this brilliantly illustrates our main takeaway for this explainer. Not every mystery has a supernatural explanation. Seriously, when we strip away the aliens from Area 51, or we dismiss the magic vortex from the Bermuda Triangle, or we explain the bleeding Antarctic glacier, we aren't left with some boring, mundane reality. Not at all.
We're left with absolutely fascinating geology, incredibly complex chemistry, and deeply rich human history. The grounded scientific truths that we uncover, they often deepen our awe and our appreciation for the Earth way more than those myths ever could. Pursuing the actual truth makes our world feel infinitely richer.
So, whether these incredible places were forged by wild forces of nature, long-lost human ingenuity, or just spun up by our own runaway imaginations, they serve as a really powerful reminder. Earth still holds countless secrets. The greatest mysteries out there, they don't defeat us. They simply inspire scientists to keep asking better, deeper questions. So, with all of our amazing technology and our boundless human curiosity, what other secrets is Earth just waiting for us to understand?